Hello and welcome to session 31, where we will continue with some of the signs of the times that we've been discussing, and we'll include also some closing thoughts. Some of you may see what has been stated here, take a look around and say to yourselves, I don't see any of this going on. What's he talking about? The reason you don't see these things happening or hear about them any more than you do is because our society, our very culture, encourages making the highest profit possible in any given business venture, regardless of how short-sighted it may be to do so, and with no thought of the toll that will be taken when the inevitable payback comes. Those who are making the policies that are causing these problems to our environment are those who are so powerful that they can even arrange to have such policies established, are not concerned about what the long-term payback may be, because they'll probably be gone, and their children will have the wealth available to buy whatever personal environment they choose to have for themselves and their families. Those without such wealth will be breathing air and drinking water that is even more polluted than today, and eating food that's either irradiated or so filled with preservatives and other chemicals that their shelf life is almost infinite. These policies must be changed, and those who pollute our environment must be dealt with in some more meaningful way, rather than a mere slap on the wrist, if even that, which is what seems to happen much too often today, if anything is even done at all. Excuse me. Politicians and policymakers will too often say that we're doing more than ever before and that everything is fine and as it should be. They will, as so many of them have for so many years, be too often exaggerating or misrepresenting the real facts. I and others who have learned to read between the lines know that the underlying reason for most of these problems is greed. Remember that the love of money is said to be the root of all evil. Those who speak the truth, as it has been stated here, are often seen as no more than voices crying out in the wilderness. Sadly, other voices, more well-known and therefore more trusted oftentimes, will simply dismiss those people like me as radicals, and every effort will be made to marginalize such people and their ideas in order to maintain the status quo, a continuing downward spiral. There are seemingly hundreds of environmentally friendly organizations in existence today, but each has its own agenda and is unwilling to be flexible enough to join together with the others. If they were all to come together in a reasonable way, under responsible leadership, speaking with one voice, they could bring about much needed change. Until responsible leadership regarding the environment and in many other areas does come, however, you can make a difference. Where the environment's concerned, you can begin at home and in your automobile by never dropping trash, except in appropriate receptacles or containers. It may seem like a small thing to you, but it's a beginning. And if you multiply your efforts by the number of people all over the world who could be doing the same thing, it really adds up to a substantial contribution. On a more far-reaching basis, you can and should seek out and elect legislators who will insist on more reasonable policies. Policies that consider alternative solutions. Solutions that don't necessarily make a profit or a big profit, but still are worthwhile and beneficial to humankind and to the planet. One such solution might be a small step, but it would nevertheless be a step in the right direction. That would be to make it a policy to pay people enough to make it worthwhile for them to recycle those materials that are recyclable, and in addition to pay them for bringing refuse to a landfill or a dump site, instead of charging them to leave something there. Otherwise, they're very likely to be wondering, as they do today, why they should pay someone to dump trash in the proper place when they can dump it at the side of the road and disgrace the beauty of the countryside for free. In addition, farmers should be made aware that diversity and a more organic approach to farming and use of the soil could avoid today's runoff of poisonous pesticides and artificial chemical fertilizers that are damaging our streams, our rivers, and our oceans. Too often, those now advising the farming community regarding what to put onto the soil are the very same ones who are selling them the pesticides and artificial chemical fertilizers, and therefore have the most to gain by the continuation of current practices. You need to know that there are alternatives. Write a letter, make a phone call, and encourage your friends and relatives to do the same. If all of these efforts don't bring the desired results within a reasonable length of time to make the politicians enact changes in policy to correct these very serious problems and so many others that are around today, I suggest then that whatever other steps that may be needed must be taken by all of the people over the entire planet. If we don't change the destructive policies that are being carried out today, the karmic payback will be on a planetary scale, and it will not take no for an answer. This series of videos has given you a very great deal of information to consider. There's even more that could be said, but enough has been said for now. Perhaps there will be additional opportunities later to bring even more to your attention. But for now, I'll simply add a few closing thoughts. Contrary to much of what you often read and see in the media, a great deal is going on in our world. Many changes are taking place. A substantial number of these changes seem to be reminders of prophecies written in the Judeo-Christian Bible and elsewhere. Many more such changes are ahead. We have seen the beginning of the more dramatic changes on September 11, 2001, and again with the worldwide financial crisis of 2008. In addition, we have global warming and earthquakes in diverse places. These seem to be happening with greater frequency than before. Extremes in weather are becoming more and more common. Storms seem to be increasing in frequency and in intensity. Soon, however, the blowing winds of change will be bringing to our doors some very different kinds of storms. Storms of political change, storms of economic change, and storms of social unrest will be among them. When the tornadoes and hurricanes come, those who are fortunate enough can go to the storm shelters and wait there until the storms have passed. In these coming storms of political, economic, and social change, however, there will be very little shelter for any of us. I must repeat that more change is coming. On September 11, 2001, we entered the long dark tunnel which has been mentioned so many times previously. Even though that tunnel became darker with the financial crisis of 2008, and there are still worse events yet to come, I can nevertheless tell you that the light is waiting at the end of that long dark tunnel. Those who have already come and those who will soon come to a greater understanding of this life and how to best live it during the upcoming years are likely to find that the light at the end of the tunnel will be, for them, especially meaningful, especially brilliant, and especially beautiful. I urge you to take the beginning steps now that will place you on the path to put yourself among their number. For those of you who decide to take the steps offered within these video sessions and make those positive changes in your life, I congratulate you and may God bless your efforts. This will complete our series of videos that are designed to help you look at life from a more spiritual perspective. And I want to thank you very much for watching. I hope and trust that you've been pleased and helped by what you've seen. There is one additional video that has a few poems for your enjoyment, if you're interested in hearing them. They're in session number 32. I'd like to tell you now, though, that there is also another series of videos that are under the subject Word are Words, number 4, and the words the wise. Word are words for the wise. They look at life in the same straightforward manner, but from a more material point of view, to help you understand a little bit more about what's going on in the world, but from a material rather than a spiritual perspective. I encourage you to watch those also. And once again, my sincere thanks for watching these. Thank you.